Okay, in Chapter 7, what we're going to do is look at absolute value and reciprocal functions. Today, it's 7.1, absolute value. What we're going to ask you to do is complete this chart. And when it asks you for the absolute value of -4, that is going to be +4. Absolute value can be defined as the distance from 0 on a number line. So the absolute value of -3 is +3. The absolute value of -2 is +2. -1 is 1. 0 is 1. 0 is 0. 1 is 1. 2 is 2. 3 is 3. And 4 is 4. Underneath the graph it says, in general, the absolute value of a real number A is defined as, well, it's going to be A if A is greater than 0, but it's going to be the negative of A, or the opposite of A, if A is less than 0. That's called a piecewise function. Now if we plotted these points, -4, 4, -3, 3, -2, 2, -1, 1, all the way up to 4, 4, you'll notice it creates a V, and that's the shape of an absolute value graph. In example 1, what we have is the absolute value. To evaluate each of the following, the absolute value of 3 is of course 3, and the absolute value of -7 is going to be +7. When we compare and order absolute values, -6.5 is going to be +6.5. 5 is just 5. The absolute value of 4.75 is 4.75. -3.4 doesn't change. There's no absolute value sign there. -12/5 would be positive, and we could put that down as +2.4. The absolute value of -0.1 would be +0.1. The next one stays negative. There's no absolute value signs. And lastly, -2.5 would be positive. The absolute value of -2.5 would be +2.5. Now we could put them in order from least to greatest. The least would be the negative numbers. So -3.4 would be the smallest number. -0.01 would be the next smallest. Now the rest of them are all going to be positives. So when we start looking at this, we can say that the next number must be the absolute value of -0.01. -0.1. The next one is going to be -12/5, which is +2.4, really. Then we have -2.5. Then we have 4.75. And lastly 5 and 6.5. There we have it. When you're evaluating absolute values, absolute value symbols should be treated in the same manner as brackets. You evaluate the absolute value of a numerical expression by first applying the order of operations inside the absolute value symbol, and then taking the absolute value of the result. So in our first one, we have the absolute value of 4 minus the absolute value of -6. That means we're going to have 4 minus 6, which is -2. In our second one, we've got 5 minus 3 times the absolute value of 2 minus 7. So the absolute value of 2 minus 7 is going to be the absolute value of -5. So this would be rewritten as 5 minus 3 times +5, and 5 minus 15, which is -10. In our third one, see, we have inside the brackets, inside the absolute value signs inside the brackets, 5 minus 7 will be -2. And then negative 2 squared is going to be positive 4. And then from there, we're going to go negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 6 is going to be negative 2. And then we can apply the absolute value signs, and our answer will be positive 2. In example 4, we've got a change in stock value. On stock markets, individual stock and bonds fluctuate a great deal, especially when the markets are volatile. A particular stock on the Toronto Stock Exchange opened the month at $13.55 a share, dropped to $12.70, increased to $14.05, and closed the month at $13.85. Determine the total change in the value of this stock for the month. This total shows how active the stock was that month. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my 4 prices that they're listed, P1, P2, P3, and P4. Now to find the differences, I'm going to go P1 minus P2 plus P2 minus P3 plus P3 minus P4. But I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to put absolute value signs around all of those so that I get a positive change for all of them. So then I'm going to go 1355 minus 1270 plus 1270 minus 1405 plus 1405 minus 1385. Now I'm going to get 85 cents for the first change, negative $1.35 for the second, 20 cents for the third. So when I get a total change, they're all going to be positive numbers, 0.85 plus 1.35 plus 0.20, or a total change in value for the month of $2.40. Our assignment today is to do page 363, 1 to 7C, number 8 and 11.